To the 2024 Stanley Cup odds, the Hurricanes remain the favorite, followed by the Panthers and the Rangers. Interesting that they all are coming from the similar side of the bracket.
While the Oilers have the top-end talent, I still don't think they have enough depth, and Stuart Skinner does not scare me in net. So I would see a long series from the Oilers and the Kings, and ultimately I think the Stars are the ones coming out of the West for the Stanley Cup.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
To the 2024 Stanley Cup odds, the Hurricanes remain the favorite, followed by the Panthers and the Rangers. Interesting that they all are coming from the similar side of the bracket.
While the Oilers have the top-end talent, I still don't think they have enough depth, and Stuart Skinner does not scare me in net. So I would see a long series from the Oilers and the Kings, and ultimately I think the Stars are the ones coming out of the West for the Stanley Cup.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
DraftKings making a progressive move, I think, that most other companies are also going to do or have done in the past. Adding someone from the government or someone you would say in legislation to become their responsible gaming leader here. And in this case, her name is Lori Kalani.
And it'll be interesting to see if other companies try to follow suit in terms of hiring former lobbyists to head responsible gaming.
New.
And welcome in, and a very happy Wednesday to you here now. Welcome to the month of May. How is that hitting you here? That's right, May 1st, 2024, and we've got plenty to keep us distracted with here over the remaining 5 or 6 hours of the day here. I'm Joe Raineri on the SportsGrid Network, and we have got day baseball. That's right, Major League Baseball, plenty of afternoon games, getaway days for some teams right now. And we actually have some pretty decent games going on currently, including the Braves trying to win a game. It feels like it's been a while since they've been able to do that, but they're up on the Mariners right now, 5-2. For some reason, the Angels lost Mike Trout and became more competitive. Just ask the Phillies here. They're up 2-1 right now in the 6th inning. Reds and Padres knotted up. And, of course, we've got plenty of baseball still to come here tonight, including the New York Yankees. Talking about a team that can't remember how to win. Yeah, that would be the Yankees here, as the Orioles have handled their business here. And to make matters worse, well, the Yankees got to take on Corbin Burns here tonight, the ace for the Orioles here. This should be an interesting game. Can the Yankees muster up enough hits not to get swept here, as good old Gill is going to be on the mound for the Yanks? And you saw also the Cubs, talk about a team that can't score. The Chicago Cubs taking on the New York Mets. Manga is going to be on the mound for Chicago, which seems to be their best chance at winning games these days, simply because he doesn't give up a whole lot of runs. Budo is going to be on the mound for the Mets, and that, too, should be an interesting one, followed by the Red Sox and the Giants. And then does anybody really know if the Rangers are going to be this bad for the rest of the year here, hovering around 500? But the Nats quietly putting together a better season than anybody thought that they might. And they're sitting right around 500, and they gave the Rangers all they could handle last night until the Rangers pulled away late. But now Trevor Williams taking on Andrew Heaney here tonight in that matchup. And, of course, the late game, expecting runs. We certainly got a lot of them last night, as the Astros and the Guardians will take center stage here. And the Astros Wow, walk-off, extra inning bomb last night to get it done. And now tonight, they look to send Verlander to the mound, taking on Tristan McKenzie here. And it's been a long time since we've seen an Astros total hovering around 8.5 with Justin Verlander on the mound. And then to close out the day, we'll have Dodgers, Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks got it done at home last night in extra innings. And Yamamoto on the mound for LA, taking on everybody's favorite unsigned pitcher right up until the season started, Mr. Jordan Montgomery here for Arizona. So we got some quality baseball games in store for you here tonight. Still, we'll keep you abreast of everything that's going on in some of these games that are still on. But let's not forget the NBA and the playoffs. They continue with the all-important Game 5s coming up here tonight. And first up, we'll head to Boston as the Miami Heat are looking to get it done here tonight and extend the series. And I don't know anybody who thinks they can actually do such a thing, which would explain why this line is at 14 points right now and probably climbing before it is all said and done here. But Miami is going to try to do the unthinkable and get this thing back to South Beach. Don't know that that's going to happen, but I find it fascinating, the total in this game. Overnight, this total, 198.5, 199. It has once again been bet up. So a lot of people betting the total over, and yet Miami is lucky if they can get to 80 points in these last couple of games. 3 out of the 4 games have actually gone under and woefully under, but in each one of these games, outside of game 2, where it took Miami shooting over 55% from 3 in order to get the thing to go over, the rest of the games, we expecting points. The team total for the Miami Heat, just to give you an idea of what's going on here, 92.5. That's the Miami Heat team total. And if they don't get the 92.5, I'm not sure they're going to get to 200. There's a lot to discuss and break down in that game. We'll talk to Mark Zinno coming up this hour and get his thoughts on whether or not the season could be over for the Miami Heat. I can tell you this, they'll have to do it without Jaime Jaquez. Another injury hits the Miami Heat here, making it just virtually impossible for them to have any sort of justification for hanging around this series. But we know the Boston Celtics, and you can ask any Boston Celtics fan, they'll tell you the same thing. This is exactly the kind of game over this run here with this team and these stars, Jason Tatum and Brown and company. This is exactly the game Boston loses. They did it last year, don't forget, to Atlanta early in the playoffs, and all of a sudden it was do or die there for the next couple of games with them. This is not the game that Boston over the last 3 years has been able to close out. So they make things very difficult on themselves, and they too aren't immune from injuries, as Kristaps Porzingis will not be in this game. So as much as we'd like to say, well, it's a 14-point, Boston's laying 14 points, there's no way Miami, trust me, those that follow the Celtics know over the years, this is the game that scares them the absolute most. In a much more competitive game, though, a little bit later, you'll get out west there, game number 5, with a series knotted up at 2 apiece, even though the Clippers almost lost almost a 30-point lead over the weekend in Dallas, somehow held on at the very end because James Harden and Kyrie Irving decided to make it a one-on-one basketball game, and Kyrie ended up winning that battle. What is going to happen here tonight? Well, I'll tell you this, another situation in which I have no idea what the market is thinking, but this line was 1.5 overnight until we found out that Kyrie was ruled out. Okay, and now it's shot to 3. But the question I have is, what in the world makes anybody think Kyrie is worth that kind of line move, since he hasn't been anywhere near the Kawhi Leonard, that we have seen prior to the All-Star game. He has been hurt pretty much the entire second half of the season. And when we did see him in this series, we saw the Clippers lose. The Clippers have won 2 games in this series when Kawhi Leonard was not on the court. Will they make it a third here tonight? Boy, oh boy, that line move is a bit of a head scratcher here because Dallas going on the road. This has been a great zigzag style series where these two teams are pretty evenly matched, and they just exchange wins and losses. Is that going to happen here tonight? I kind of feel like the home dog might be alive in this one, and we'll have more on this game coming up. But either way, I think the Mavs and the Clippers are going to be a tremendous finish here tonight, and I do think this thing is going 7 games. Interesting opportunities on the Dallas Mavericks to win the series still at plus money. Keep an eye on that, as we also have learned that maybe the Mavericks and Luka, not 100%. Maybe we need more Kyrie in our lives, Dallas Maverick fans, and you might just get that here tonight in this all-important, pivotal Game 5. That's late night. We've got NHL playoff hockey. We've got Dallas. We've got Vegas. We've got much more to go over. So come back and join us here. Game Time Decisions on the Grid.
So I turned it off. I got my sweat done, and I'm leaving. I'm taking my money. I'm going home, and I don't want to talk to you the rest. Oh, yes! There it is. 6-3. Cast the over. The over is hit. The Padres are our heroes. That's how we end the show.
What? Let's just sign off. Let's just call it a show.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Quotes coming out about Embiid. Oh, he's a warrior. You'll never get him off the court. You're just telling me he's an injury. He's one slip and fall away from what's not seeing him anymore in this series.
I would have sat him because there was only 1 day between the 2 games. It's 2 days between games 2 and games 3, and it's 2 days between games 3 and game 4.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions on this Wednesday. Welcome to the month of May. That is right, May 2024. Here we are, and we've got plenty of Major League Day baseball that we're celebrating here as the Braves trying to hold on and win a game again. 5-2 right now. They are in the bottom of the ninth. Couple of runners on for Seattle. We'll see if the Braves can close this one out. The Phillies just got thrown out at home trying to score, so they're only up 2-1 right now in the seventh. And the Reds and the Padres, with the Padres threatening in the bottom of the seventh, knotted up to a piece. And we do have the Yankees and Orioles coming up here shortly. And who better to help us navigate the New York Yankees than George Kurtz stepping in here? And Kurtz, I guess we're just calling it a sweep with Burns on the mound here tonight. I know you ain't betting Gil because you don't trust him, although he's actually done a pretty good job of limiting the walks the last couple of starts. But what do we do here with this Yankees team? 8.5 for a total. Who's scoring those runs?
I'm gonna have to go with Baltimore here. Yankees are struggling again. We had hoped over the weekend. They scored 36 runs in 3 games against Milwaukee. So you're hoping, all right, they figured it out, right? It's not just Milwaukee. They're not that bad at pitching staff. The Yankees offense has figured it out. No, they have not. Now they've scored 2 runs in 2 games against Baltimore. Been shut out 5 times already this season here. Burns hasn't quite been Burns of late, Joe. He hasn't been that ace. The last couple of starts have been so okay here. But I can't see a reason why you would think the Yankees are going to beat him up tonight. Louis Hill, he's got an arm, right? He throws hard. Doesn't always know where it's going, and he still shows some immaturity when he doesn't get a call that's off the plate a little bit. You know, he shows it, which, we know umpires don't like that. Bottom line is, until the Yankees prove they can hit the Orioles, you didn't hit Grayson Rodriguez, you didn't hit Dean Kramer, a guy you usually crush. Kramer, by the way. Hard to see the Yankees doing a lot of damage against Burns tonight. I'm on the under. I'm on Baltimore as well here. And hey, we got our under in the Atlanta-Seattle game. So Atlanta closes it out 5-2.
Yeah, they got it done there. I think that total was 7.5 too. So I think that total. Oh, boom, got it done there. Atlanta, boy, started to worry about them. Like, were they ever going to win a game again? Nice run here lately by Seattle, but they ended up losing this one here today. You and I were just laughing. We've got the Mets coming up against the Cubs, and the Cubs, just the injuries have decimated this offense. I mean, they just can't score. But they do have the right guy on the mound here tonight, given the fact that, Amanga doesn't give up a whole lot of runs either. So it's their best shot at actually pulling out a win here tonight. But what do you think here? Can you trust the Cubs at Citi Field to low total, 7.5?
7.5, Mets aren't hitting a ton anyway, right? This whole series has been sort of low scoring here. Now I'm on the Cubs tonight. I'll take a Minaj, who nobody has been able to figure out yet. And maybe they won't, Joe, until he goes around the league a second time, right? Then maybe they'll figure it out. But he's been great, right? He's been just fantastic. So it's hard not to be on Minaj tonight. I'm on the Cubs. 7.5. I mean, it's a low, right? I mean, it's a low, but this smells like another 3-1 game, 3-2. So I'm going to the Met game tomorrow, and now you got Ben Brown versus Adrian Hauser, 2 guys who have been softball pitchers. So I'm going to go an under today and the over tomorrow here. Give me the Cubs and the under. And I kind of like what you said, before we started here. No run first inning. That sounds pretty good to me as well.
Yeah, it's if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Cubs don't generally come out of the gate hot at all. So pretty good and interesting pitching matchup in this one too with Budo. So that is going to be the Mets. That is going to be, of course, the Chicago Cubs. There is, and I remember talking to Craig Mish here on the network, who covers the Marlins here. He loved Amanga early in before the season started. He said, keep an eye on this kid. He's the real deal, and he has been thus far not the real deal. Well, those Miami Marlins here. Although we had quite the battle yesterday. I think they scored more runs in that game, the Rockies and the Marlins, than they have over the last month of the season here. And the season's only over a month here, Kurtz. But what are we doing here tonight with Colorado and Miami?
Changing the channel. That's what we're doing here. All right, come on. I mean, is this really a game you want to watch? Hudson versus Munoz here. Over-under is 9. I'm not taking minus 144 with the Marlins. I can't do it. So if I'm going to touch this game, I'll take the favorite in Colorado. These are 2 bad teams. Colorado somehow blows. They scored 5 runs in the first inning yesterday. Then they don't score again. Or I think they got 1 run late. And then Florida. Miami comes back and wins the game here. So I'll just take the plus money here. That's all I'm going with here. But I don't feel great about it. I don't feel nowhere near great about it. And it certainly wouldn't be a large amount of money.
Roddery Munoz, second career Major League Baseball start. He pitched against the Cubs in his first one, Kurtz, 5 innings, 2 runs, 2 solo home runs, by the way. Struck out 7, only walked 1. But from what I understand about this kid's track record, he's 24 years old in the minor leagues. It's been laughable here. 163 walks in 300 innings in minor league baseball. I don't know if there is a prop on how many walks he threw, but something tells me he's going to walk a few more guys than just one like he did the first go around here. So keep an eye on that for Rodri Munoz making his second start here of the National League season. Unbelievable here. We also have, though, San Francisco and Boston. What a series this has been here. Boston at home at Fenway. Boston, I got to tell you, I had them losing more games at this point in the season than they have, sitting at 17-13. The Giants feel like this is going to be a 500 team all year long, Kurtz, doesn't it?
Yeah, they're struggling right now. They're not scoring, right? They're not hitting. Well, Webb gets beat up a little bit last night. The Red Sox really made him work. I think the Red Sox go on tonight. I think they win this game. I think it's kind of even for a Fenway game, I think it's just a boring game, 4-2. So I think the under comes in as well here. Yeah. Give me the Red Sox and the under. The Giants are struggling right now. They're struggling to hit. They're pitching okay, except for last night, but they're struggling to hit right now. Give me the Red Sox. Give me the under.
Yeah, Crawford on the mound for Boston, who's been surprisingly good as well. What do you think of the Guardians and the Astros? Hell of a finish last night, Kurtz. Bombs away, extra innings, walk-off, but shouldn't have been that close because Houston was up big time in that game. So this is another one here tonight. This is coming up, 8 o'clock, and then we have the last game, Dodgers-Diamondbacks. I want to get your thoughts on both of those, plus we'll talk a little NHL when Game Time Decisions returns here on the Grid.
So I turned it off. I got my sweat done, and I'm leaving. I'm taking my money. I'm going home, and I don't want to talk to you the rest.
Oh, yes!
There it is.
6-3. Cast the over. The over is hit. The Padres are our heroes.
That's how we end the show.
Oh, well, let's just sign off. Let's just call it a show.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Quotes coming out about Embiid. Oh, he's a warrior. You'll never get him off the court. You're just telling me he's an injury. He's one slip and fall away from what's not seeing him anymore in this series.
I would have sat him because there was only 1 day between the 2 games. It's 2 days between games 2 and games 3, and it's 2 days between games 3 and game 4.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. George Kurtz hanging with us here. And George, I wanted to get your thoughts here on these 2 late games here tonight because I like them both. Guardians, Astros, Verlander, McKenzie, and then, of course, the Diamondbacks with the win in extra innings as well last night over the Dodgers. Montgomery against Yamamoto. How are you looking at these games?
McKenzie's trying to pitch through an elbow tear, right? Trying to delay that surgery, which has been successful for some players. But he's not throwing very hard, Joe. 90-91, which means it's taking its toll. I think the Astros beat him up tonight. So I'm going to be looking at Houston tonight. Probably going to have an anytime home run, maybe for an Alvarez or maybe Tucker, maybe both. But I think I'm going to be heavy on Houston tonight to score a bunch of runs and beat up on McKenzie tonight. Verlander, my only question for Verlander is how deep does he go into the game? It's been 5 innings, right around 5, 5+. We haven't seen him go 6-7 yet, so we'll see on that. But I like Houston a whole bunch tonight. Montgomery didn't pitch last night because of the bees. Go figure. Since that game was delayed about an hour and a half due to the bees, which was hilarious, by the way. So why don't they just play through it? Man, imagine being behind home plate with bees up there. You get a foul ball against that net. Yeah, I'm sure they'll just accept that all nicely. They won't love free be in a frenzy, be in a frenzy. So Montgomery gets Yamamoto tonight.
Okay. All right. No, I was just going to say I think he got the bees got him because he had to say something negative about the bees last night. And that's what happened there. That was pretty funny. I mean, the fact that the beekeeper got to throw out the first pitch in that game was just hilarious on all fronts. But Diamondbacks ended up getting it done here. Yamamoto, Montgomery, that is going to be your late game here tonight, and I am looking quite forward to that. And also, the one other game we should probably mention to you is Heaney versus Trevor Williams. That is going to be the Nats taking on the Rangers. That, too, is happening at 8 o'clock Eastern time as the bees, George has swatted the bees away, so he doesn't have to worry about them anymore. So let's talk here, Kurtz, about the NHL tonight. Call me crazy, but that had to be one of the best defensive efforts I have seen in a long time in the playoffs by the LA Kings in that last game. The problem is they ended up giving up 1 goal, and that turned out to be enough. But there was a level of defense in that game by the Kings, a level of urgency. Can that be repeated here? Because if it can, they got a shot at winning this game.
Well, it's a little bit harder on the road, right? At home, the biggest advantage as far as in the NHL, home ice versus away ice, you get to make the last change. So you get to theoretically get the players you want out there against McDavid, against Nugent Hopkins, against Hyman, against Draisaitl. Can't do that on the road, right? You have to declare first, and Edmonton will go up against that. So it's definitely a much harder thing to do. Plus, you still lost the game, right? So that's got to be in the back of their heads as well. We did everything we could do, and we still lost. Skinner pitches a shutout there. The bottom line is this. I don't think we throw the Kings in the same category as the Islanders or the Capitals, 2 teams that, they really probably weren't deserving of making the playoffs here. But I think they have a next level down, So I think they're, they're a so-so team, solid, but nothing great here. I think the Oilers do dispatch them tonight. I like I'm going to go the over. I can't go the under in an Oilers game. So either you're not taking it,
right,
leaving it alone, or you're taking the over here. I'm going to go the over. I think LA will be more desperate tonight. They'll make more mistakes. I also wonder, if they're down 2 goals in the third period, you pull that goalie early. You don't care how much you lose by here, right? So maybe a couple of empty net goals as well here. Give me the over. Give me the Oilers.
What are we doing here with the Golden Knights in Dallas here? Dallas, all of a sudden, we were questioning after the first couple of games. I don't think anybody's questioning them anymore here, Kurtz. Are you buying Dallas here to get that all-important Game 5 win?
It's been a strange series, right? I don't think anybody had that Dallas would lose the first 2 games at home and then win 2 in Vegas. I certainly didn't see that happening. I'm not surprised, 2-2. I'm just surprised how we got here. All right. That being said, you watch the games. Dallas has been the better team. They've just been the better team here. Yeah, so I'm on the Stars tonight. Ender's playing better here. Once again, I don't need him to be a brick wall. I just need him to be better than what he was during the regular season here. And I think Dallas has a good chance to go all the way here. Vegas looks a little slow, a little slow. Once again, maybe it's more of a chemistry issue. Hurdle has been, only played a couple of games after being traded. Stone coming back from the lacerated spleen. Peter Angelo had the appendectomy. So it could take them a little bit here. But Dallas has looked better, played better. Thompson has kept them in the game. For the love of God, Thompson, stop going down so quickly and then staying down. They're all shooting high. They're all sort of banking off your head because you're leaving that spot open here. Maybe he learns, maybe he doesn't. I like the Dallas Stars tonight.
Well, I don't think he's going to have a chance because they've already announced Aiden Hill will be in goal tonight for the Las Vegas. Why? I have no idea, George. We appreciate it, brother. Enjoy the games. Game Time Decisions returns.
So I turned it off. I got my sweat done, and I'm leaving. Taking my money. I'm going home, and I don't want to talk to you the rest.
Oh, yes!
There it is.
6-3. Cast the over. The over is hit. The Padres are our heroes.
That's how we end the show. That's how we end the show.
Oh, well, let's just sign off. Let's just call it a show.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Quotes coming out about Embiid. Oh, he's a warrior. You'll never get him off the court. You're just telling me he's an injury. He's one slip and fall away from what's not seeing him anymore in this series.
I would have sat him because there was only one day between the two games. It's 2 days between games 2 and games 3, and it's 2 days between games 3 and game 4.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think GameTime Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to GameTime Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than GameTime Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into GameTime Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions, rather. I'm sorry about that. In-game live actually coming up here at 8 o'clock Eastern time, and they are going to have their hands full here tonight as we've got NBA playoff action getting ready to go, top of the hour. We'll dive in a lot to this Miami Heat taking on the Boston Celtics in what could be the final game of the season for the Miami Heat. And can the Boston Celtics get it done finally in an all-important Game 5? And we mentioned it earlier. This has always been the Game 5 that has been the bugaboo for the Celtics. And we've seen this over the last couple of playoff seasons. They have an opportunity to get it done, and they don't do it. Obviously, we saw what they did last year with Miami and couldn't get it done there in a Game 7 at home. We've also seen what they did when they blew a home game in Game 5 to the Atlantic Hawks in the first round before having to go back home into a Game 6. And Porzingis being injured tonight, his injury is going to make it interesting. And while I don't think offensively it'll be that much different for the Boston Celtics, I do think defensively it makes the matchups interesting. But those that are keeping score at home, Miami Heat getting 14 and a half in this game right now. The total continues to be bet up. We're at 202 now in a number of spots. So the money continues to roll in on and over in between these two teams, and it feels like Boston is going to have to do a lot of that heavy lifting here. And then, of course, late night, you will have that other Game 5 in L.A. with the Clippers taking on Dallas. The big news there, no Kawhi Leonard. But also, we've learned that Luka Doncic, not 100%. And what does that mean for this series? Well, I think this series is going 7. I don't think there's a whole lot separating these two teams. But if Dallas were to move on, it's going to keep an eye out, because if Doncic is not 100%, will he wear down as the playoffs go on? Does that mean we get more Kyrie Irving, who is playing at an MVP level right now, and nobody seems to be talking about him, but he might be the one that carries this team, not only through this series, but maybe the next series and the one after that. He is playing that well, Kyrie Irving, and not getting a whole lot of credit for it. So we've got 2 Game 5s. Tomorrow's also going to be huge, as we've got the Knicks and the Sixers, and another Game 5 that Knicks fans are hyperventilating right now. And then, of course, can the Milwaukee Bucks, can they do it again on the road this time, as they handle business and staved off elimination at home, though, against the young Pacers team? Will the Pacers bounce back? There is much still to be determined in the NBA playoffs. We've got 2 NHL games we just told you about here. That should be a fun evening, and plenty of Major League Baseball as the Yankees and the Orioles are coming up here. They are next up on the list here for start times, and then, of course, that'll be followed by Miami and the Colorado Rockies, which should also be a very interesting game, shall we say. But we did have a few games that already finished here or are about to finish, as the Phillies and Angels are in a battle here. Phillies had to once again come from behind and beat the Angels last night. They have been battling with Wheeler on the mound. That Phillies bullpen is in, and that's always a little scary in the bottom of the 8th right now. It's a 2-1 game with the Phillies on top there. We also saw a Cronenworth grand slam in the 7th inning for the Padres. So the Padres now 6-2 in the top of the 9th, trying to close that one out. And shocker, the Tampa Bay Rays are not a good baseball team in any way, shape, or form. Not even Zach Eflin can save this Rays team. Not good here. 7-1, the Brewers. Colin Ray, another fantastic outing for him in Milwaukee. The Rays, man, you talk about getting swept from the Chicago White Sox into a series against the Brewers, in which now they've lost 2 out of 3. This is a rough stretch for the Tampa Bay Rays, and just like that, there seems to be only one team in the American League East that we can seem to count on, and that team is the Baltimore Orioles, who will have Corbin Burns on the mound here as they get ready to take on the New York Yankees. In fact, I believe they are off and running there with Burns out in the 1st inning here, and we'll see if the Yankees can score some runs, because they are heading in the wrong direction here. But the Orioles haven't been great either. They've beaten the teams they're supposed to beat to this point. But right now, with Tampa Bay being as miserable as they are, everyone expects Boston to come back to the pack here, although it's been a fantastic start for the Red Sox. And I think mostly because, did we think that Cutter Crawford was going to be as good as he was? They have gotten some tremendous efforts from young pitchers on this Red Sox team, and the bats have been there for him over the first month of the season. And here they sit, 4 games above 500. And there was a lot of people, including yours truly, that thought fading the Red Sox was going to be the right thing to do this year, especially from a win total perspective. But so far, so good for the Red Sox, and they've got a middle-of-the-road Giants team coming up here at the top of the hour, and they, too, will look to finish off this series on the East Coast with a W. And then the Mets and Cubs are coming up 7 o'clock tonight. Pretty much a coin flip game. My money will be on Amanga here. He's been really, really good for the Cubs. A lot of hype around him. Sitting at 4-0 on the season, less than a 1 ERA, a 0.80 whip. This kid has been lights out, but not a lot of familiarity here in Major League Baseball with him. We'll see if, like George Kurtz told us earlier, will this be a situation in which maybe, just maybe, after a month or two, couple of starts, the film starts to get sent around? Will hitters be able to adjust? But he has been nothing but filthy here for the Chicago Cubs. Unfortunately, the injuries have just decimated that lineup right now, and they can't score. The Rangers and Nats should be very interesting as Heaney. I'm not quite sure how anybody can back a guy that's got close to a 7 ERA and a 1.26 whip. He gives up nothing but barrels. Barrels, I tell you, Heaney does. And he's going up against a Washington lineup right now that is feisty, if nothing else. Washington is not going to be a walk in the park. So far, through a month of the season, Washington has been impressive. I know a few guys that were very big on them. I could not figure out why. What about this Washington Nationals team that they liked? Well, when you got Trevor Williams on the mound, throwing extremely well so far, and you have a small ball Nationals lineup that does the little things right, gets guys over situationally, gets the hits. They got beat by the long ball last night by the Rangers, but Heaney, he's known to give up the long ball and a lot of barrels here. Trevor Williams should be okay here tonight with the Nats, so I would not be shocked if that is the dog of the evening to come cashing for you. The Washington Nationals is who I'll be looking at to get it done here tonight. Don't forget Guardians, Astros, and then the Dodgers and Diamondbacks. All really good prices here on these late games. Should be a fantastic lineup of Major League Baseball to end the evening. In the meantime, we'll head to the NBA next year on Game Time Decisions.
So I turned it off. I got my sweat done, and I'm leaving. I'm taking my money. I'm going home, and I don't want to talk to you the rest.
Oh, yes!
There it is.
6-3. Cast the over. The over is hit. The Padres are our heroes.
That's how we end the show. That's how we end the show.
Oh, what? Let's just sign off. Let's just call it a show.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Quotes coming out about Embiid. Oh, he's a warrior. You'll never get him off the court. You're just telling me he's an injury. He's one slip and fall away from what's not seeing him anymore in this series.
I would have sat him because there was only 1 day between the two games. It's 2 days between games 2 and games 3, and it's 2 days between games 3 and game 4.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on this Wednesday. Welcome to the month of May. Still trying to wrap my head around May 1st right now, 2024, and much on the slate here tonight, including Major League Baseball. Yankees and Orioles off and running. No score there as the Yanks do have a runner in scoring position going up against Corbin Burns there and the Baltimore Orioles. But top of the hour, going to be a whole lot of focus in the NBA as the Miami Heat will look to extend their season against the Boston Celtics here. And Mark Zinno steps in and knows how unbelievably inconsistent and untrustworthy the Boston Celtics can be. And I mentioned it earlier, Zin. I'm going down the list. I'm saying this team for the last 3 to 4 years can't be trusted in this spot. They did it to your Atlanta Hawks. Don't forget, Atlanta almost took them to the brink because they couldn't close them out. We know the history with Miami. This is the one spot that has always been the bugaboo for the Celtics here tonight. Not saying they're going to win, but they have been known to throw up all over themselves in this game.
Well, look, I think there's only one way I can approach this game. It's the way I think everybody should approach it. I took the Miami Heat in the first quarter plus 4.5. I mean, look, Miami, outside of game 2, has proven they don't have the shooting or the scoring in this series to keep up. And what happened in game 2? They came out hot and were hitting shots and played with a lead and changed the flow of the game. So by this logic here, Joe, I mean, Boston has proven they can cover 14-point spreads against this team easily. They've proven they can cover first half numbers. If Miami can't keep this thing close within 5 in the first quarter, what makes you believe they would keep it closer than 8 in the first half or 14 in the game for that matter? Like, there's not a game script that I believe can happen where Miami goes down by 10 and all of a sudden shoots their way back in it. They haven't proven that they can do that. They've proven that if they start out hot, they will continue to stay hot. But if they start out slow, they're dead in the water to begin with. So the only way I want to attack this, instead of sitting there and sweating for 2.5 hours and screaming at the TV, give me 12 minutes of agony and hope that the Miami Heat can make enough shots in the first 12 minutes to keep this thing close within 5 points. Because if they're down by 6 or 7 in the first quarter, what makes me think they're going to have this incredible second quarter? And we proved in game 4 was, even when the Celtics had a bad second quarter, Miami had a worse second quarter. Right? When the Celtics only scored 19 in game 4, the Heat only scored 12. So regardless of what Boston does offensively, their defense is still good enough to keep subpar shooters and really only has to defend 1 or 2 guys in Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero. Everybody else, let them shoot it because they're going to miss.
And I don't, for the life of me, outside of that game 2, which again, they had to hit 23 threes in that game 2 to even go over their number. The only game in the series that went over. Other than that, they're struggling here to get to 90 points. Their team total 92.5. Oh, does the Porzingis injury concern you defensively? I don't think it matters offensively that much to Boston, but it does make some interesting matchups without Porzingis available to them here because the market keeps betting over. It's up to 202, 202.5. This was 198.5 24 hours ago. So who keeps thinking we're going to get points in this series?
Well, I mean, Joe, I would tell you that it's probably sharp bettors who are going, look, this total is bottoming out, right? It's getting so low to a point that even below average play on both ends should be enough to get it over. But if you think this thing is going over, you're saying the Celtics are going to score 110 because Miami's likely only getting into the 90 range. So, and as far as Boston is concerned without Porzingis, I mean, I think it does affect them on the offensive end because there's somebody who had their team total over Boston when it was 106.5. They can only get to 102 because they shot 41.9% from the field. And really the game did change in that second. It took Boston a little time to figure out life on the court without Porzingis for the rest of that second quarter, which is when he got injured. So, I think that when it comes to it, the pace too, you got to remember Boston, for all their scoring, Joe, they're not a fast-paced team. They're bottom 10 in the league in pace. They just make a ton of shots, which is why they score so much. So from that standpoint, Boston doesn't have to speed things up, especially if Miami is not making shots. So defensively, that's really their only concern. I mean, if I'm Joe Mazzulla, I'm going, hold them to 21, 22 points in a quarter. We're going to win this thing without breaking a sweat. And that's the reality of the whole thing. Like, I would treat it like golf. Just make sure they don't get to this number. Let's lock them down, and we can slow the pace down enough. And if Boston gets a 5 or 6 point lead in the first quarter, guess what? They'll just dribble this stuff out. They're not in a rush to find the basket because they know they can do it enough here to outscore Miami. So it's a really tough sell to play the over here, and you're depending on Miami to get into the mid-90s to do so and push Boston, because that's the big thing. They haven't pushed Boston in the second half. So the Celtics come out of the second half and go, just dribble, 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 dribble. and we'll take our time.
Yep.
And there's no reason without them closing within 10 to single digits, Boston has no reason, no sense of urgency to continue to push the pace. So it's really a tough call. You just have to hope Miami's making shots, and really that's the only thing that's going to push this thing over.
Yeah, first quarter, first half is the best, and just play it by ear. I think it's a better game to look. Maybe if Miami comes out, wins that first quarter, you can always jump in on Boston at a better number there anyway. I also don't understand a late game, Zin. Why anybody thinks Kawhi Leonard, by not being in, is worth another point or 2 points here when this thing was -1 24 hours ago. But Kawhi's out, it's now -3. They've won 2 games without him. He is at a 60% level. He's not worth that kind of point there. He's not.
No, I don't think so. And again, this is another total that seems to be bottoming out here, right? Like, I mean, 209 for these two teams is ridiculous. I mean, Dallas is all offense. They're no defense. I know their defense has been better since they made the trades at the trade deadline, but it's not this better. It's not better enough to keep teams around 100. Which is what basically you're saying here, 101, 102. So I don't necessarily buy it. I think that, the over is probably the play here, and the Clippers might be a little bit better offensively without Kawhi being so dependent on one guy. They'll move the ball a little better, and really you're relying on Harden and Westbrook to make some more shots.
It's a head scratcher, to say the least here, but so are some of the personal totals in this thing. We'll talk a little bit about those, some of the props that are available. We'll do it when Game Time Decisions returns here on the Grid.
So I turned it off. I got my sweat done, and I'm leaving. I'm taking my money. I'm going home, and I don't want to talk to you the rest.
Oh, yes!
There it is.
6-3. Cast the over. The over is hit. The Padres are our heroes.
That's how we end the show.
Oh, what? Let's just sign off. Let's just call it a show.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Quotes coming out about Embiid. Oh, he's a warrior. You'll never get him off the court. You're just telling me he's an injury. He's one slip and fall away from what's not seeing him anymore in this series.
I would have sat him because there was only 1 day between the 2 games. It's 2 days between games 2 and games 3, and it's 2 days between games 3 and game 4.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network as we wrap up this first hour. Mark Zinno here with us. NBA action, all-important Game 5 tonight. Dallas taking on the Clippers here. Dallas has an away favorite, which is also very interesting, but I find it amazing here, Zin, that, the last game turned into James Harden versus Kyrie, and Kyrie won. But kudos to James Harden there. but both of these guys have been flying over their total, their points props here. 25.5 for Kyrie, I think. Harden is hovering around 22.5. I'm with you. I don't know who thinks defense is being played, and I don't think either team is stopping these two guys.
Yeah, I mean, look, if the Clippers are going to have a chance to win, Harden is going to have a good game. He just has to start, man. Yeah. I would look at his threes. I would go that direction. Depending on the number I see in 3.5 over at FanDuel, that 4 kind of bothers me. If you had 2.5, I would certainly play the over 2.5, probably at minus money if you can find an alternate total. But I don't know that that they're going to win without Harden having 25 plus points. I mean, where is the rest of the scoring going to come from? Is the real question. I don't necessarily think it's going to come from a guy like Zubac or necessarily even Westbrook. But they have got to figure out a way for Harden to get involved and make a lot of shots here.
Tell me about your Knicks as they got Thibs last night, which you knew what was going to happen in one game. But I'm just curious, does it go 7 now in your mind? Do you think that, or do you think they learn and they put the hammer down here tomorrow?
I mean, if you're the Knicks, do you really want to be in a Game 7 coin flip situation? I get it. It's at the Garden, right? Like, I get that, they certainly are going to have an advantage there. But, and again, this is another one. You go to this total here, Joe. Like, these totals are begging you to bet the overs, and the unders keep coming. At 200, I don't know. I think Philadelphia knows they're going to have to score, and they're going to be more concerned on the offensive end to do so. Because if they're going to play a slower pace, it's all going to favor the Knicks. If they're going to play a grinding pace, the Knicks are the slowest team in the league when it comes to pace. Philadelphia has to be able to move. Max, and we learned this when Embiid was out. The Philadelphia offense was dynamically different. They played a ton faster without Embiid in the lineup. And Maxey really was the guy who set the pace. And, again, they're going to need to be able to score 100 points in this game if they want to win it. Because if they don't get to 100, I think it favors the Knicks. So I think Philadelphia with a ton of momentum here. And notice how they came down from that 5 that they had in Game 3 in Philadelphia and made it a 3-point spread here, which is probably more closer to what I think the number should be. So it's hard for me to lay it with Philly here because I think the number is accurate. But these totals keep bottoming it out, and I can't wrap my head around not betting it over in this game.
It's hard to believe, but here's Miami, who can't score 90, and their total's at 202, but yet the Knicks and Sixers tomorrow at 199.5. Do you think Indiana pulls it together, learns from the misstep last night, and closes it out at home, or do you give Milwaukee a fighter's chance here?
I'm not laying 8 with Indiana. I'll tell you that much. I would take Milwaukee in the points.
No way. No way.
I can't. I keep trying to correlate the total to how the game's going to go. This is the same 214 number that was there in Game 3 or 4. Game 4 it was when Indiana busted out and had 120 plus. Yeah. So I mean, I think the totals are correlated. It's Milwaukee in the under, the Pacers in the over. There's reports saying now that Dame and Giannis might be able to come back for Game 6. And I don't know what you can really do. You can't really bet this thing early because if you do and those guys come back, it's going to change the entire game script for what goes on here. But I would lean Indiana, to score enough here to push this thing over. But I don't want to lay 8. That's just Indiana is not a team defensively that you want to lay 8 points with.
No, and I would, if you like Milwaukee, bet it now. Take the 8 points. Because if one of those guys is seen on the court and going, this is cut in half. So just go ahead. I mean, take the point, take the 8 now, because I don't think it'll get any worse by the time the tip is. I think 8 is what you're looking at. But if Lillard shows up and ready to play or Giannis, this thing goes through the roof there. So should be an interesting next 24 hours in the NBA playoffs. Zen, we appreciate it as always, man. We've got tickets to cash tonight, and of course, we will do so, man. Enjoy. We got another hour of Game Time Decisions coming up on the grid.
So I turned it off. I got my sweat done, and I'm leaving. Taking my money. I'm going home, and I don't want to talk to you for the rest.
Oh, yes!
There it is.
6-3. Cast the over. The over is hit. The Padres are our heroes.
That's how we end the show. That's how we end the show.
Oh, what? Let's just sign off. Let's just call it a show.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Quotes coming out about Embiid. Oh, he's a warrior. You'll never get him off the court. You're just telling me he's an injury. He's one slip and fall away from what's not seeing him anymore in this series.
I would have sat him because there was only one day between the two games. It's 2 days between games 2 and games 3, and it's 2 days between games 3 and game 4.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think GameTime Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to GameTime Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than GameTime Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into GameTime Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Wow, warning track power. That's what we've got here on GameTime Decisions. Welcome in, off and running another hour. Joe Raineri, appreciate you hanging with us here as we get ready for the evening slate of Major League Baseball. We did just watch the Phillies hold on after the Angels put first and third with one out, but were not able to get the tying run across. So the Phillies end up getting it done, although low scoring there. 2-1, they're finished. We've got the Yankees underway right now with Baltimore. Yankees are still finding it very difficult to go ahead and score runs. But we have some great games coming up here. First pitch in just a couple of minutes between the Cubs and the Mets. Also, the Giants and the Red Sox getting ready to take center stage. That'll be during this hour. And then the top of next hour, we'll have a really great slate of evening games here between the Nats, the Rangers, the Guardians, the Astros, and then the Beehive. That is the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Montgomery against Yamamoto. That total was 8.5. It's been pushed up to 9. And I'll tell you this, Yamamoto has certainly been hyped up, but this guy never misses barrels enough in a game and usually ends up giving more runs up than he should. Diamondbacks are not a team that strikes out a lot. They're a team that certainly plays to contact, puts the ball in play. It feels like the Diamondbacks a little undervalued here at home. And certainly it feels like maybe a fade of the Yamamoto strikeout prop, which I believe is hovering around 6.5, somewhere in that ballpark. He is not, Arizona doesn't strike out that often in order for him to be hanging that kind of number there. We also have, as many of you may know, the all-important Game 5s coming up in the NBA. Bottom of this hour, the Heat and the Celtics will take center stage. This total continues to be bet up right now. 202.5 is what is starting to pop up. And this started at 198.5 24 hours ago. So this was the series, and these were the two teams in which we thought we would eventually get to a total under 200, which is rarefied air these days in the NBA. This is not something you will see even remotely close during the regular season. And didn't think we'd get to that point in the playoffs either, given the rule changes. And of course, we've seen some teams injury related, play a little less defense. I got to tell you, don't let anybody tell you these teams aren't capable at any moment of playing some lockdown defense. They have done it. The pace has slowed down across the board. We've only had a handful of overs here, it feels like, since the playoffs began. But when you start hanging numbers like 200, or in the Nick and Philadelphia Sixer case tomorrow, the line is already listed at 199 points. So, and again, that may close over 200. But right now, you've got NBA teams playing, and the market is telling you first one to 100 wins. Man, I didn't think we'd get to this point ever again, but the playoffs are certainly a different animal here. Clippers and Mavericks will be your late game here tonight. That, too, is a kind of a head-scratching total, 209 in that one, and it's really going to be up to the big four, I'd like to say here. Between James Harden and Paul George and Luka and Kyrie, which one of that pair do you trust more? Mavericks got to go on the road. They've been very good on the road. They were an ATS machine. The Clippers, not so great after the All-Star break here, but they won't have Kawhi Leonard, but they're 2-0 without him already against this Dallas Mavericks team. This series is not up to a piece. Will Dallas be going home up 3-2? Or will they have their backs against the wall when they go home in Game 6 and in a do-or-die situation? I happen to think that this is a series that has 7 games written all over it, and it would not shock me if we zigzag our way right through the end of this series. But that should be a good one coming up 10 o'clock Eastern time. Don't forget, we still have some NHL games and series that have to be decided yet. Now, all eyes are going to be on the Dallas Stars taking on the Golden Knights of Las Vegas. What a series this has been. Did anybody see road teams being 4-0 in this series? Not me. Didn't think we'd get to. It doesn't shock me that we're going to go back and forth here, 2-2, 3-2, probably 7 games, even though I do think Dallas has the better roster. But the idea that nobody can win a home game yet in this series is not where I thought we would go. Now, the interesting part about this is that it came out a little earlier this afternoon in which Dallas, or Vegas rather, had made the announcement that they might be switching goaltenders here, and Aiden Hill might, in fact, be in net. Now, if that's the case, well, I'm not quite sure what they're doing, given the fact that he's kind of not played here for a little while, and then even when he did play, he was kind of outperformed by his backup, who has been really, really good. So it bears keeping an eye on to see exactly who is going to be in goal for the Golden Knights here tonight. I will say Ottinger has actually played pretty well. And although he's given up a ton of goals early in this series at home, that just made absolutely no sense. He's a better goaltender than this, but this has always been the knock on him, is that when it matters the most, where is he? So, well, he's back home, and he's played worse hockey at home here in this series than he has on the road. So will he be able to stand on his head and get it done for Dallas here tonight? Interestingly enough, road teams last season in the playoffs, 42-36 straight up. They're now 21-16 so far in these playoffs here. Interesting, where the better team tends to get it done on the road. So which is the better team? Is Vegas the better team here? Or is Dallas going to hold serve? Should be a fun one in that one. And then late night, Edmonton. Will somebody please tell the LA Kings it's been a nice, it's been a great season. Congratulations. But it is time to move to the side here as the Edmonton Oilers are looking to get it done here tonight. The Kings played their best game defensively of the season, and it still wasn't good enough. They still lost 1-0 because what nobody's talking about is the fact that Edmonton has also been playing some tremendous defense, and good old Stu Skinner doing a fantastic job there in net for them. Defense plus good goaltending plus the firepower that they have, Connor McDavid and Draisaitl and company. Yikes. The Oilers putting it together. Looks like they did a pretty good job by firing their coach 1 month into the season, didn't they? Worked out pretty well for them here, but they are Canada's final hope to go ahead and represent and try to win a Stanley Cup. We'll talk to Joe Madden coming up this hour. We'll get her thoughts on what are the chances of Edmonton getting it done here and repping in the finals. Canada, and should very well, they're going to have a good shot at doing it. I'll tell you that right now, although Colorado looked absolutely ridiculous in that series against Winnipeg. So we've got much to talk about in the NHL. We got much to talk about here as the Celtics and the Heat coming up, bottom of the hour, getting ready. Can Miami do the unthinkable and extend it? We'll have a lot to talk about here. And just a quick update, the Yankees still can't hit. But we'll have more on that as Game Time Decisions continues here on the Grid.
So I turned it off. I got my sweat done, and I'm leaving. I'm taking my money. I'm going home, and I don't want to talk to you the rest.
Oh, yes!
There it is.
6-3. Cast the over. The over is hit. The Padres are our heroes.
That's how we end the show. That's how we end the show.
Oh, what? Let's just sign off. Let's just call it a show.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Quotes coming out about Embiid. Oh, he's a warrior. You'll never get him off the court. You're just telling me he's an injury. He's one slip and fall away from what's not seeing him anymore in this series.
I would have sat him because there was only 1 day between the two games. It's 2 days between games 2 and games 3, and it's 2 days between games 3 and game 4.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. We've got plenty we're excited about here tonight as we begin the month of May. Kind of hard to believe, May 1st. And that means springtime for many. That means, of course, NBA playoffs, Major League Baseball in full effect, and, of course, the NHL, the quest to get a Stanley Cup. And we've got couple of more games here tonight. Joe Madden stepping in here, and exciting stuff here. Joe, I got to tell you, last night, Nashville getting it done, which was, I thought, exciting that they were able to muster up after throwing up all over themselves in that previous game against Vancouver. So they extended it. Toronto, never say die. They got themselves back into the series. And, well, we've got the Golden Knights and Dallas tonight. I had no idea that the road teams would be 4-0. I did not see this coming. But here we are, 2-2 here tonight. A home team has to win at some point, right here, Joe?
Yeah, at some point, but with the value we're getting here on Vegas, Joe, I can't look at the Dallas Stars in this one. Vegas to lose 3 in a row, the defending Stanley Cup champs. I'm just not buying into it. And I do think Adin Hill is going to be fresh in goal, and I do think he can stand nice and tall. Lots of people concerned about him here, but they're forgetting that he was part of this team going to the Stanley Cup last season. He had a fantastic record, and I do think he could be hot in this game. So give me the Vegas Golden Knights here. I think they can get it done. We're getting great plus money. I'm also going to look at this one to go over the 5.5 because I do think because this is game 5 here. This series tied 2-2 apiece. We're going to see it a little bit more open. The Dallas Stars, Wyatt Johnson has been absolutely unstoppable out there. Young rookie, not even 21 yet. He's been able to be so impactful for the Stars. Vegas needs to find a way to contain him, but I do think this is one where we see those 6 goals. I think it's a 4-2 style game, Joe.
Are you kind of shocked that they're dropping Adin Hill in, given the fact that on what Thompson has done here? He certainly outplayed Hill down the stretch of the season here. Are you kind of shocked, like, of all, now you drop him in, like, on the road? Like, you're gonna,
no, I'm not.
Put him in? Like,
no. I think this is a great move. This is fantastic. This is what the Winnipeg Jets should have done last night. They should have started Boussois instead of Connor Hellebuck. You've got to go. If your goalie's not working, pull him out of there. He should have been a so much stronger Logan Thompson. You look at his numbers, he just wasn't. The Dallas Stars have been able to hit him. I'm all for him being yanked and Adin Hill getting a chance here. I think Adin Hill can stand strong. He was able to get 2 shutouts in the postseason last year. So let's go, Adin Hill. I would love to see that shutout. If you're worried about that coming into play with this total, Vegas's team total is 2.5. So you can take that to the over at -126. I don't hate that either, Joe.
Yeah, Ottinger playing better on the road than at home is beyond me too. So something has got to give here tonight. But Bruce Cassidy, a hell of a move there to either make you look like a genius or everyone will point to that move. So gotta love it there. Urgency in a 2-2 game here tonight. Urgency late night with Canada's last hope, but I guess Vancouver still has an opportunity as well. But you and I were talking off air. I could not get over the effort the Kings were giving us in that last game. And unfortunately, it still wasn't good enough to beat Edmonton in that 1-0. Do they have anything left in the tank? Or they were taking a shot at here tonight?
I would love to say yes, but Joe, I really can't get behind putting my money on the Kings here with how strong Edmonton has been. I expect, though, with what we saw out of the last game, for the Kings to give it their best effort. The problem here is they're not able to hit Stuart Skinner, and I don't understand why. They're getting these shots. Looking at the last game, 33 shots on net out of the LA Kings. We look at Edmonton, only 13 shots on goal. We know that one went in. So looking at this matchup, I have to think the LA Kings, with their backs up against the wall, are going to get at least the amount of shots that we were able to get in that last game. So I came up with a 3-leg parlay. It pays $11.59 for 3 players that I think will get those shots. And you're not asking too much here. Looking at Kempe, you've got to take him for the 4+ shots, and you can bet each leg outside of the parlay because that's coming in at +108. Kevin Fiala, 3+ shots on goal. That's coming in at +100. And then Kopitar. Kopitar is the longer shot here. 3+ shots for him at +240. So parlaying them all together, +11.59. If you bet them separately, great plus money on all of those bets. And I do think we get that desperation out of this team, especially if Edmonton is up. Edmonton's not getting those block shots. Like I said in that last game, allowing 33 shots on Stuart Skinner. The problem was the LA Kings couldn't find the back of his net. If they can find the back of his net tonight, they could push this to another game. Joe, you know I want to see it. I want to see the LA Kings get the win tonight. I just can't put my money there on the money line. I'd rather look at these players for their shots. You could look at them for their anytime goals as well. I think the shots have a better chance of hitting. I want to see the Kings take this series. They got a long way to go if they're going to do it, but it would start tonight if they can.
It's funny you bring up a great point here with Edmonton. I mean, Skinner is kind of stabilized in goal, which is nice, but for all the defensive talk about the Kings, did we even know Edmonton was this good defensively? Because they have made the Kings inept, like they can't score. It's kind of hard to believe, but Edmonton, for all the offensive prowess, they've done a hell of a job on the defensive side here as well. Does that shock you?
Not really, because we look at them on that long run they went on and how they were able to limit their opponent's ability to get those goals. They were holding opponents to 2 or less goals in the majority of those games. So with what we're seeing out of Edmonton, they're giving Skinner more support out there, which they need to do. They're getting those back checks in. They're being more physical. That's the way they need to play to go deep. Now, can Edmonton go deep if they get past the Kings? Joe's a Calgary Flames fan. I hope not, but this team does have the ability.
Yeah, I could not every game has to be an 8-6 win, Edmonton, and they showed that last game, and pretty impressively, too, there with Skinner. So do or die here. Big games tonight, Dallas and Vegas, and, of course, Edmonton and the Kings. And Joe Madden, we appreciate the time as always. Good luck with those plays. Game Time Decisions continues next.
So I turned it off. I got my sweat done, and I'm leaving. Taking my money. I'm going home, and I don't want to talk to you the rest.
Oh, yes!
There it is.
6-3. Catch the over. The over is hit. The Padres are our heroes.
That's how we end the show. That's how we end the show.
Oh, well, let's just sign off. Let's just call it a show.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Quotes coming out about Embiid. Oh, he's a warrior. You'll never get him off the court. You're just telling me he's an injury. He's one slip and fall away from not seeing him anymore in this series.
I would have sat him because there was only 1 day between the 2 games. It's 2 days between games 2 and games 3, and it's 2 days between games 3 and game 4.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. In addition to this being the month of May, and we've got playoffs, obviously NBA, NHL. We should not forget that a pretty historic event is taking place this weekend. We're talking about the 150th edition of the Kentucky Derby, and joining us, David Aragona there of DRF. And David, 150, it kind of is mind-blowing. Here we are, May 1st. We've got the 150th running of the Derby. It's always its own kind of in its own class here, the beginning of the Triple Crown. But the chalk has not reigned here for a little while. Like what everyone thinks is going to happen in the Derby doesn't, at least it hasn't over the last couple. So let's start with the chalk here. Sierra Leone, talk to me about the favorites. Who are contenders? Who are some pretenders here?
Feels like one of those derbies where we are going to have two clearly defined favorites. One of them is Fierceness, the number 17. He's 5-2 on the morning line. We're showing some daily racing form data and statistics here. The thing to notice about Fierceness is in the upper right-hand corner. He is pretty inconsistent. He's definitely faster than this field on his best day. When he produces his good form, he is several lengths faster than everybody else in this race. But when he's had to get into a situation where he's got to fight for it or encounter some adversity, he's the kind of horse that doesn't always produce his best effort. So I think that's a big concern in a Kentucky Derby where he's got 19 other rivals coming out of the starting gate. You're likely to have some trouble during the running of the race. So we'll see if that's a problem for Fierceness. The other horse that's going to take money is the number 2, Sierra Leone. He's a close 3-1 on the early betting for the race. He's much more consistent. He's been on this upward trajectory coming into the race, so that's all a good sign. I think the big concern with Sierra Leone is his running style. He is a plotter. He's one of those horses that's going to have to try to come from last place potentially. He could be 18th, 19th, 20th in the early going of this race and try to pass everybody. That's a difficult thing to do in the Kentucky Derby. With traffic you have to navigate, potentially having to go wide around horses around both turns of the race. So some difficulties potentially for both of these favorites.
Yeah, and then of course you've got Luis Saez there on Dornoch in the 1 spot. And we all know Louis just loves to get out in front there and just kill those fractions and make it absolutely impossible for somebody to come from behind. So what do we think about Louis here on Dornoch here in the 1 spot?
Yeah, he's definitely that kind of rider who wants to be aggressive out of the starting gate.
Yeah.
It can be really difficult to make the lead from post number 1 in the Kentucky Derby. 19 horses breaking outside of you. They're all trying to converge down towards that inner rail so they can save ground heading into that first turn. So you've got to be really quick to get clear of all that traffic. Dornoch is a speed horse, and I think his trainer wants to see him on the front end because that's how he's done his best running, when he gets out ahead of horses and can get brave up there. But he's had some lackluster efforts coming into this race, so he's considered more of a long shot this year. But it is worth noting for pedigree fans out there, he is the full brother, same mother and father as last year's Kentucky Derby winner, Mage.
Yeah, and I know Flavian Pratt, Brad Cox aboard Catching Freedom here, 8-1 early line. You mentioned it, right? The 2 clear favorites getting a lot of publicity here, but should we be sleeping on Catching Freedom here?
Definitely not. Catching Freedom, he's a very similar type of horse to Sierra Leone, another horse that likes to close from towards the back of the pack. He's also got that upward trajectory in his form coming into this race, so seems like he's really doing well heading into the Kentucky Derby, and he's got some of the top connections in the game in his corner. Brad Cox, one of the top trainers in the sport, and Flavian Pratt, his rider, who has really come to become one of the best jockeys in recent years. He seems to ride a great race in the Kentucky Derby every single year.
Yeah, no, unbelievable here. And how about some of these horses on the outside? Stronghold, for instance, on the outside, some of these bigger prices, Resilience with Bill Mott and Junior Alvarado. Any chance that they could hit the board?
Yeah, horses like Stronghold and Resilience, they're both coming in off victories, but maybe against slightly weaker fields than some others faced in their prep races for the Derby. They've both just got to overcome those very wide draws because you don't want to lose ground heading around those turns in the Kentucky Derby.
No, you don't. So give us the exacta. What are you thinking we're going to get here, David?
Well, my top 2 picks are 2 horses we haven't mentioned yet. One of them is the number 11, Forever Young. He is an undefeated horse coming in from Japan. He's raced in Dubai and Saudi Arabia, has never lost, trying an American race for the first time, but I think he's pretty good. And the number 7, Honor Marie. He's 20-1 on the morning line, a horse who does seem to be doing well coming into the race. He's kind of attracting some buzz this week at Churchill Downs.
David Aragona, my man, DRF, we appreciate the time. Cash those tickets this weekend. The Kentucky Derby Game Time Decisions will be back after this.
So I turned it off. I got my sweat done, and I'm leaving. I'm taking my money. I'm going home, and I don't want to talk to you for the rest.
Oh, yes!
There it is.
6-3. Catch the over. The over is hit. The Padres are our heroes.
That's how we end the show. That's how we end the show.
Oh, what? Let's just sign off. Let's just call it a show.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Quotes coming out about Embiid. Oh, he's a warrior. You'll never get him off the court. You're just telling me he's an injury. He's one slip and fall away from what's not seeing him anymore in this series.
I would have sat him because there was only one day between the two games. It's 2 days between games 2 and games 3, and it's 2 days between games 3 and game 4.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think GameTime Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to GameTime Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than GameTime Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into GameTime Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in. Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. So now we go from the 150th running of the Kentucky Derby, some great stuff there, to a weekend filled on the links here. We've got plenty of golf going on, too, and nobody knows it better than Brady Cannon, our good friend, stepping in here. And, Brady, we've got the Byron Nelson going on here, right, the CJ Cup, and then we've got a Live Tour as well that I want to hear about from you in that event. But let's start with the Byron Nelson here. What do we need to know about this track, the history, and more importantly, the guys that are playing in this?
Yeah, Joe, a couple of Derby prep races left, if you will, here on the PGA Tour before we get to the major, the next major being the PGA Championship in a couple of weeks. But we've got to get through the Byron Nelson and the Wells Fargo first. TPC Craig Ranch, pretty easy course. This is going to be a birdie fest. The one wrench in the system here is they've really got some weather going on. I don't think there's going to be a ton of wind, maybe 15 to 20 miles an hour at the most, but all kinds of rain and thunderstorms in the forecast. That could have stoppages of play and delays, but you just can't predict that. You don't know how it's going to play out. So I played the handicap pretty straight. You want to be really good off the tee here. It's a long course with really wide fairways. And, I said it's going to be a birdie fest. You're going to want to get guys that know how to go low and can hole some putts. So I started with Alex Noren at 25-1. Hasn't missed a cut all year. Really good on approach. Really good putter. He's got tremendous history at the correlated courses. As far as correlated courses, I looked at Port Royal in Bermuda, Memorial Park in Houston, TPC Summerlin right here in Las Vegas, and then also Detroit Golf Club where they play the Rocket Mortgage in the summertime. Noren has top 5 finishes at all of them, including a runner-up at Bermuda. And all of those courses, or I shouldn't say all of them, but Houston, Vegas, and Bermuda tend to have wind as a factor as well. And Alex Noren is a very good wind player. So I started with him at 25, and then I went to Byung Hoon An, Benny An at 30-1. Now, he's the only guy I took this week that's not a great putter, but he can bang it off the tee and he makes a ton of birdies. Number 1 in this field for birdies or better gained over the last 36 rounds. And then I went to Adam Schenk, very good off the tee, plays the long par 4s really well. and he can putt. I got him at 40-1, and basically same formula for my next two guys, Mackenzie Hughes at 45, solid off the tee, tremendous short game, and really good on the long holes, the long par fours and the par fives. And then Maverick McNeely at 55-1, the second best putter in this field on bent grass greens over the last 36 rounds, does it off the tee and does it on the long par fours. So that's basically my formula this week. And I went with those 5 guys. Didn't go to the top of the board. You know, Spieth has kind of been herky-jerky, and I'm not sure about him. Siwoo Kim taking a lot of public money. He's been a fan favorite, so I kind of like to tend to stay away from the real popular picks. And, you know, Alex Noren's getting some love. I've seen Adam Schenk get some love, but, you know, I like all 5 of these guys to really fare well. And not only did I play him for an outright win, I took him for a top 20 finish as well.
I heard Will Zalatoris withdrew, no reason given, so I hope he's okay, and maybe just needed a little mental break there instead of playing in this event. But how do we not bet Tom Hoagie again? I mean, because he was nowhere to be found, and there's no Scheffler, so there's a good chance he's got an opportunity to be competitive since Scheffler's not playing in this. But maybe I kind of like him since he didn't do well in the team event, the Zurich.
Yeah, we had Maverick McNeely and Tom Hoagie as a team. I thought that was a perfect combination, and they ended up missing the cut. That's the only Maverick McNeely's only missed 2 cuts all year and only 1 in a standard stroke play event. Hoagie actually came out, he profiled really well for me this week. But, you know, I'm not positive about him. He seems very popular. I know he's got some sharp play on him. You know, I was actually on him a couple of years ago when he won at Pebble Beach. And that seems like more his track where his ball striking really can separate himself. Small greens at Pebble Beach and just stuff it in there and hole some putts. This course is so big that I think it's maybe going to be a bigger hitter. Or, you know, I just don't know if it's a perfect fit for Hoagie. We'll see. I mean, he went to TCU. He's very familiar with the area. So I could be dead wrong. He was one of the top players in all my stat crunches.
Yeah, well, I'll say this because everyone seems to think Jordan Spieth's going to just run away with this because he's from Texas. Stop it. No more Jordan Spieth. Stop it. I'm not buying Jordan Spieth in this one. Plus, he's too damn chalky, is he not?
Until he wins again, Joe. I mean, he hasn't won in a couple of years. And I thought his form was going to be good for Augusta when he finished 10th the week before at the Valero Texas Open. He seems to play well always in the state of Texas. And maybe he'll come up with another 10th place finish this week, and we'll think, okay, it's time to bet him at the PGA. I miss the guy. He's one of my favorites, and he's a fan favorite worldwide. But we really haven't seen the consistency like we're used to, you know, back in the day, if you will, with Jordan Spieth. I actually bet against him, Joe. My head-to-head matchups, I took Alex Noren over Tom Kim. I took Adam Schenk over your guy Tom Hoagie, and I took Alex Noren over Spieth. Alex Noren at even money over Jordan Spieth.
Until further notice, there's absolutely no reason to back him, and just because the tournaments in Texas is not a reason to back Jordan Spieth here. Let's hop over to Singapore because you've got a couple of live picks here with some well-known guys. What are you thinking here?
Yeah, I kind of went chalky on this one, all but one guy. I made 4 picks for outright wins. And, you know, I mean, you're dealing with only a field of 54 players. And let's be honest, there's probably only 35 of them that can win. So, you know, you're gonna end up landing on guys towards the top. And I found this incredibly interesting in my research, Joe. I started studying this course, Sentosa in Singapore. And there's a lot of history here. They used to play the Singapore Open on the European Tour for many, many years. And guys that have won here at this course before include Ian Poulter, Sergio Garcia, Adam Scott, and Matt Kuchar. And I went, my first reaction was, okay, ball strikers course. And then I went, oh my gosh, these guys are all money at the Players' Championship. Kuchar, Sergio, and Scott have all won the Players' Championship. Ian Poulter's played the Players Championship 18 times, made the cut 14 times, and finished runner-up twice. So I'm like, there's got to be a connection with Sentosa and TPC Sawgrass. And that's kind of where I went. Paul Casey at 38-1, one of the best ball strikers on the planet. Last 2 times at the Players Championship, he's finished 3rd and 5th. And then I went to Cameron Young at plus 1950. Oh, the last time he was at the Players, he won the darn thing. And he's also finished 17th. And I think the form's coming around. Back in his home country of Australia, looked good. He was good at the Masters. And then I went Bryson DeChambeau at 12-1. We know, obviously, he's got the distance and the ball striking. And his last time at the Players Championship, he finished 3rd. He's never missed a cut at Sawgrass. And then finally, I went all the way to the top of the board. John Rahm, you can probably find him around plus 650. I was able to get plus 670. And again, that sounds like an awful short price. We usually don't find ourselves in that territory. But when you're competing against maybe only 35 other guys, it's not that short after all. Bryson DeChambeau, by the way, in 6 live events has finished top 10 in 4 of them. John Rahm has finished top 10 in all 6. I think the guy's just due for a win, Joe. He's still one of the very best players in the world. And oh, by the way, at Sawgrass, he's finished 12th and 9th. And the year that he finished 12th, he was in the lead going into Sunday, finally melted down on the back 9 before he missed out on winning that darn thing. So that's the formula this week for the live event.
Nothing but winners. Brady Cannon, as always, man, let's cash those tickets. We'll be back after this.
So I turned it off. I got my sweat done, and I'm leaving. I'm taking my money. I'm going home, and I don't want to talk to you for the rest.
Oh, yes!
There it is.
6-3. Catch the over. The over is hit. The Padres are our heroes.
That's how we end the show. That's how we end the show.
Oh, what? Let's just sign off. Let's just call it a show.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Quotes coming out about Embiid. Oh, he's a warrior. You'll never get him off the court. You're just telling me he's an injury. He's one slip and fall away from what's not seeing him anymore in this series.
I would have sat him because there was only 1 day between the 2 games. It's 2 days between games 2 and games 3, and it's 2 days between games 3 and game 4.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think GameTime Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to GameTime Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than GameTime Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into GameTime Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome in. The fun has begun. GameTime Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. Coming up, top of the hour, we'll pass the baton off to our good friend Scotty Wetzel. And, of course, you can catch him and I on Sundays on In-Game Live. But you're going to have your hands full, Scotty, tonight here. We got NBA playoffs. We got NHL playoffs. We've got a nice late slate of some Major League Baseball games going on as well. What are you keeping an eye on here tonight that you like the most?
Yeah, by the way, how about those Twinkies winning 10 in a row? Cha-ching, cha-ching. We're all over those this afternoon. Very nice. And we laid the run and a half, and it was and I was ticked off, Joe. I told myself, I was just play them. Lay the 220. We've been on them for a couple of games. Don't worry about it. Just lay it, And I said, I'm going to get cheap. Let me lay the run and a half, and it's 6-5 heading to the top of the ninth. I'm like, oh, man, this dopey team's going to win 6-5. But they score 4 in the top of the ninth, and then they blow it open. They win 10-5. So it's a nice thing. So we're playing with house money tonight. I did like the Miami Heat. Going to go back to a system here. I like betting on teams that lose by 20 points or more their previous game. Now, Miami's done it twice. I really, so far, it's a close game. Early on, 11-9 Celtics. But that line dropped to 13.5. That was 14.5 this afternoon, overnight line. Then it was 14, and then I saw a little while ago before they tipped off down to 13.5. So apparently a lot of people think along the ways I think that this is going to be I don't think the Celtics are going to lose, but I'd be surprised if they ran Miami out of the building like they have these last 2 games. So did like Miami, and you and I did the show last Sunday, right? How'd that Clippers plus 7.5 thing work out at Dallas, right? But real good. Yep. But I got a feeling Dallas is going to respond tonight, Joe. I think little role reversal. They are the favorites, laying 2.5, 3, depending on where you do your shopping. But I think if Dallas is going to respond, I think they win tonight. So I like Dallas to win and cover, and Miami to lose but cover the monster spread.
Well, I kind of like where you're going with there. I know there were some that were maybe dabbling in a Dallas parlay here tonight. I thought you might be all. I thought maybe you would have looked at that, but it looks like a little across the board there. But Vegas has just scored there on a power play. They are reviewing it, so we'll see if it holds. But Vegas Knights, Scotty, Listen, I thought this was going to be a close series, right? Dallas being the top seed and all. But a team not winning a home game yet is not how I thought we'd get to a 2-2 series. But that is where we are at with this here. Were you leaning one way or the other in this one?
Yeah, Sheriff Penn and I got a 3-league, 3-team round-robin championship parlay. UConn, we got winning the NCAA championship. We got the Celtics, the Nuggets, and the Bucks to win the NBA championship. And in hockey, we got Dallas, Florida, and Colorado. So we're alive for this thing. So I'm rooting Dallas, Joe, but same thing. I did not think it was going to be 2-2 after Dallas lost the first 2 games. Right? They got completely outplayed. I mean, it was just like, wow, what's going on here? For them to win these last 2 in Vegas, didn't see that coming. So I'm thinking Vegas tonight. Maybe it's just because it's the opposite of what we have, but it's hard to beat a team 3 straight, right? And the same thing with the Celtics. They may do it against Miami, but come playoff time, you beat a team like Vegas, like Dallas is being asked to do tonight against Vegas to win 3 in a row. That's not easy. So I got a feeling Vegas is going to get the win tonight.
The goal is good. They just flashed a stat too. Vegas 31, I believe, in 9. On the season if they score first, and they scored first. So here we are, 1-0. Vegas on top of Dallas here, still 15 minutes ago in the first. All right, so Miami right now, 15-11. They're down on the Celtics in the first TV timeout. 6 minutes to go here. In-game total, 201.5, Scotty. The Miami team total was 92.5. I mean, I am not going under. For a team that is going to do nothing but chuck up threes because they have no other choice here. I mean, 92.5 is ridiculous here. I think Boston, like you said, is going to win, but if Miami's not going to get blown out for another game, are they?
Yeah, I wouldn't think so, right? That's a pretty good over number because even if they do, Joe, it's pick your poison, but it's a benefactor if you're a Miami over player because it's either going to be a competitive game, and the only way it's going to be competitive is if Miami's hitting their shots because the Celtics are good for 100+. There's just no way they're not getting at least 100. And then, if it is a blowout, well, then it's garbage time, and you're going to get 93 points in the fourth quarter. When it's 115 to 70 heading into the fourth quarter, you're going to get your 23 to 25, 26 points. So I also like Jaylen Brown. With Porzingis out, a lot of guys look for secondary guys to come off the bench and pick up the slack, and that does work. But I got a feeling Brown, and it's easy for me to say now he has 6 points, but the guys know I gave Jaylen Brown out over 24.5 points. I think he's going to come out flying tonight, and so far it's a good impression.
I like it. As a matter of fact, it didn't take long. Dallas has just returned the favor and tied the game up at 1 apiece.
Nice.
What did you think, Scotty, about, what Aiden Hill has not played in forever, and they inserted him here on the road into the lineup. It wasn't like they were having such horrific goaltending here. I mean, Logan Thompson's pretty much outplayed him over the last month, but you find it strange they picked him up and dropped him in to this point in Game 5?
Yeah, listen, it's kind of weird. He didn't, although he didn't start last year from the very beginning. He came a couple of games in, so maybe I don't know, maybe thinking that's what they were waiting for some goofy reason. But they let the defense for Vegas was just awful. I mean, that poor guy was getting peppered with shots left and right.
Yes.
I mean, you're right. You can't blame him at all. But
nope,
you lose 2 in a row, short leash in the NHL postseason.
Well, first real shot Dallas had, he didn't do a great job of stopping anything, so maybe he's a little rusty there. It's been a little while, Aiden Hill, my goodness here. All right, so we've got a couple of more Major League Baseball games getting ready to start here, Scotty, at the top of the hour. When we get back, I just want to get your best bets here tonight. And do you think the Yankees will ever score a run? We'll have that next here on Game Time Decisions.
So I turned it off. I got my sweat done, and I'm leaving. I'm taking my money. I'm going home, and I don't want to talk to you for the rest.
Oh, yes!
There it is.
6-3. Cast the over. The over is hit. The Padres are our heroes.
That's how we end the show. That's how we end the show.
Oh, well, let's just sign off. Let's just call it a show.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Quotes coming out about Embiid. Oh, he's a warrior. You'll never get him off the court. You're just telling me he's an injury. He's one slip and fall away from not seeing him anymore in this series.
I would have sat him because there was only 1 day between the 2 games. It's 2 days between games 2 and games 3, and it's 2 days between games 3 and game 4.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in here. Game Time Decisions on the SportsGrid Network. What a lineup we've for you here tonight. Scotty Wetzel and the crew in-game live coming up top of the hour. But now I want to talk to my good friend Cam Stewart, who will be here with Sports Rage a little bit later tonight, 10 o'clock Eastern time. And Cam, first thing I want to know, I've already bet your Maple Leafs to win against Boston. Did it before. I did not think. I thought they needed a spark, and if they could come away with the win there, I'm not sure Boston's going to be able to control this runaway train here now, because all it takes, Cam, is a little bit of confidence, and that overtime win, I feel like we're getting a new Maple Leafs team here.
Here's the deal, Joe. They don't win at home, though. That's the problem. If they win Game 6, people like they'll choke in Game 7. I feel better about them on the road. They played so much better on the road. So that's what I had a buddy who works, with the guy who works for the Leafs, big time guy. He got him at 8-1, smashed it for like $300. So then you're in a hedge situation. Ooh. But yes, I think we're going to get to Game 7, Joe. I'll tell you, Maple Leafs and Boston Game 7s usually don't go very well in the Leafs. But let's remember, Boston's a choker team too. They were up 3-1 against Florida and didn't get it done. So anything can happen in these playoffs. We're on Dallas Live. When Vegas scored the first goal, they're on the power play right now. And I got some other picks for you, Joe, for tonight in Edmonton. We got a lot of different stuff going on today. We're going to take Edmonton in regulation, minus 115. Ooh. So they got to win in the first 60 minutes. My boy, Shaq Hyman. Remember when Shaq came out on the set because he does TNT? He came out with the boy, Shaq Hyman, Zach Hyman. Anytime goal. He's got 6 in his last 4. Zach Hyman. And Edmonton, minus 1.5. Can you say, Joe? I'm taking a dip in the oil tonight. Lube it up, baby. Nice. I'm losing my sunscreen for number 2 copper tone. Lube me up with some oil. Let's go, baby. Oil derricks all over the board. Let's blow it up against the Kings. Like the over as well in this game. I expect if Edmonton's up, Edmonton will be pulling the goalie. And Dallas has scored again. This is fantastic, Joe.
Yes.
Go Stars. I bet these guys, when they're down 2-0 against Vegas in the series. So that's good. Next, Joe, the boys told me we got to.
Cam, let me just ask you. Let me ask you quick. Why are you putting Aiden Hill in now? Am I missing something? Like, why Vegas did you what? Like, I don't
know
get
what it is,
man.
Me and Gabe talked about this, though, Joe.
Down the stretch.
Thompson was good, but you know what he doesn't do? Know what he did? Know what we've noticed in the last couple of games? His body positioning. Dallas was going like when there's a puck in the corner, he's bending down. Just stand up. That's what Gabe and Kurtz were talking about. You're picking corners on this guy. But I agree. A hostile environment, Hill, it's a lot different with the Leafs. Samsonov is not doing anything special, and Wall has played better than them. I would have started Wall from the damn series starter. I don't even know why Samsonov's your guy. Yes. You got Wall. He's a better goalie. Wall's way better than Samsonov. This is a pressure cooker. You want to put this guy on the road after losing 2 in a row at home? That's tough, Joe. Let's fly through the PGA, buddy. I got some golf picks. It's Golf Wednesday. I don't know who we got this week. We got a lot of guys. We're going Alex Noren, the Swedish Hammer, at 28-1. We like him. Joe, Tom Hoagie screwed me up, but I'll talk about him later. We love Hoagie sandwiches. Tom Kim, 35, has been bet down. We love Mackenzie Hughes. The Prime Minister, as Pharrell calls me, 1 Canadian, Mackenzie Hughes. I heard Smiley Kaufman, friend of the program and network now, is a Mackenzie Hughes guy. I like that. KH Lee has won this tournament 2 of the last 3 years. How do I say no at 50-1? I got Garrick Higo, the left-handed South African, at 110-1, trending in the right direction, playing great in his last couple tournaments. And Carver's boy, CT Pots and Pans, at 110-1. We also like a couple other things we got going on here. We got Siwoo Kim at plus 160 in the top 10 markets. Let's hit the top 20 markets. We got a couple other guys that we like. Jager Bomb, Joe. That's what me and you do. If we go down to Florida, we'll hit the bar. A couple Jager Bombs for me and Raineri at plus 150. 2 hoagie sandwiches at plus 185. And what's in the cupboard? Mark Hubbard at plus 260. Top 40. Max Gracerman plus 160. And live, buddy, I got Cam Smith at 15-1 as my top guy. Raineri's got questions. I got Abraham Answers at 25-1. Mito Pereira, whoa, and Harold Varner at 85-1. Joe, that is the golf. Let's have a great week, everybody. Told you we can get it done in 6 minutes.
Absolutely love it here. And even Rahm's not a bad price in that, believe it or not. He's not as chalky as I thought he would be here in Singapore, but should be no problem cashing tickets, including the under with Montgomery and Yamamoto here tonight for Cam, under 9 in that late night fiasco. I hope the Bees don't mind a little baseball tonight because they had a problem last night.
It was a great night last night, Joe. Let's keep the train rolling.
In-game live, and they are prime time coming up next. We'll see you again